Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
The WNBA is in the midst of a financial freefall, watching helplessly as its entire foundation crumbles without Caitlin Clark on the court. Once again, the league is proving that it has learned nothing about protecting the one player who single-handed elevated it from obscurity to the national spotlight. This is a story of a league sabotaging itself, allowing its golden goose to lie injured on the sidelines while stubbornly ignoring the reality that it's bleeding millions of dollars every single day.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
In an era dominated by manufactured drama and social media outrage, facts have become as rare as a sold-out WNBA game that doesn't feature Caitlin Clark. When she went down with a quad injury on May 24th, the league's dependence on a single player was laid bare for all to see. Now, with her sidelined again due to a groin injury for an undetermined period, we're witnessing the same unraveling all over again.
Quad injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Nationally televised WNBA games have seen a jaw-dropping 55% drop in viewership. Indiana Fever broadcasts alone saw a 53% decrease, falling from an average of 1.81 million viewers when Clark played to just 847,000 without her. But here's where it turns from disappointing to outright absurd, and by absurd, we mean catastrophically predictable for a league that seems pathologically incapable of learning from its mistakes.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
League is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th. National TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, they Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
While Caitlin Clark was out packing arenas, breaking viewership records, and generating revenue at historic levels, the WNBA did what it's sadly become known for: absolutely nothing to protect its most valuable asset, despite being responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity. Clark has been routinely targeted by opponents without consequence, while league officials dismiss concerns with tone-deaf lectures about basketball plays.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her fans.
What's especially infuriating is how familiar this situation is. This isn't the first time that WNBA has watched its ratings and revenue nosedive. After failing to protect a marquee star, it's like watching someone burn their hand on a hot stove, then immediately touch it again while claiming they didn't know it would hurt.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. with the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, please subscribe. The financial collapse has been swift and brutal. Ticket prices for Fever games have plummeted by 71%, with some dropping from $860 to just $150. The average ticket price during games Clark Miss fell from $1,370 to $80. That staggering decline reveals exactly who drives interest in this league. Road games, previously moved to larger venues to accommodate demand for Clark, are now struggling to fill seats. Take the Fever versus Chicago Sky rematch, once one of the season's most anticipated games with a record to point to 5 million viewers. Without Clark, ticket prices dropped from $110 to $95. And the excitement vanished. It became just another game that casual fans didn't care to watch.
Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA have successfully broken Caitlin Clark.
Christine Brennan, veteran sports journalist and author of the upcoming book on her game, Caitlin Clark, and the revolution in women's sports, has emerged as one of the WNBA's most vocal critics. The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. Brennan wrote after another game where Clark was blatantly targeted. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see. Her criticism cuts to the core. Clark draws more than half of the league's TV audience. Yet the WNBA allows her to endure cheap shots and hard fouls designed solely to intimidate. It's like a restaurant owner letting customers harass the only chef whose food keeps the place open.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA.
The pattern is as infuriating as it is predictable. Opponents foul Clark hard, often more to send a message than to make a play. Of the 30 flagrant fouls assessed across the league in 2024, 5 have been committed against Clark. The Chicago Sky alone are responsible for 80% of those. When Clark reacts to the physicality, she's called to aggressive. When she doesn't, she's labeled soft. It's a no-win scenario the league has created and refuses to fix. Meanwhile, the financial toll is staggering. The WNBA was already projected to lose $50 million this year despite Clark's popularity. Now, with her sidelined, losses are accelerating, TV ratings are crashing, merchandise sales are slowing, and attendance is dropping back to pre-Clark levels.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
The most damning part, this was entirely preventable. Clark entered the league as a humble 22-year-old, repeatedly praising teammates and downplaying her own hype. She handled scrutiny with maturity. The league could have embraced her, protected her, and used her rise to elevate the sport. Instead, it allowed petty rivalries and internal politics to poison what should have been a historic moment. For women's basketball, Clark's injury isn't just affecting ratings. It's causing corporate sponsors who invested millions in the Clark boom to reconsider their support. It reveals a larger identity crisis within the WNBA. Does the league want to be a serious professional sports organization or a drama-driven spectacle chasing social media clicks? Because right now, it's trying to be both and failing at both.
The thing I admire about Caitlin, she's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I done seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
Compared to other professional sports leagues, the WNBA looks amateurish. Imagine the NBA letting players take cheap shots at LeBron James for months while brushing it off. As competitive play, the league would shut it down instantly, issue suspensions, and protect its star. The WNBA, by contrast, seems to believe that any attention is good attention even if it stems from physical abuse of its most marketable player. The result, a toxic environment. Fans are refusing to watch other games not just because Clark isn't playing, but because they no longer trust the league's officiating or its competitive integrity.
To clean up, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
What makes it worse is how many chances the WNBA has had to fix this and failed every time. Each incident involving Clark should have triggered new player protection protocols. Instead, league officials parrot the same tired phrases: basketball, play, letting players play. The irony is painful. Clark's injury, which the league could have prevented, now serves as irrefutable proof of her value. A 55% drop in viewership is not subtle, yet even with that crystal clear data, there's no indication that WNBA has learned a thing. Officials continue preaching about physicality and balance, treating actual danger as fouls against Clark as background noise while overreacting to every play she's involved in.